Hi guys, Dave here from Wolf and Wild Survival. My generation and my parents' generation always seemed to be about bigger, better, stronger, faster. We tried to pump things up. More power. Just monster. Raw. The current trend seems to be all about making things small and compact and lightweight and easy to carry. One of those things are these personal survival kits, or PSKs. Now, a lot of my longtime viewers will know I'm not a fan of Altoids tins or those little mini kits. I really don't like them. I don't mean to, try to be insulting to anybody who maybe does these things and takes pride in them, but they're just no good. They're no good. I'm sorry, they're no good. And that being said, small and compact isn't a bad thing. It's where does everything break down and become ridiculous? Now, my Get Lost bag started out basically as a PSK, and I started to refine it. I started to make everything in it serve its primary purpose, as well as a secondary glaring purpose of putting up a sign yelling, "Here I am, come and help me." That's basically where it all started, and the size that it was when I first put it together was still a little too small. It really was. If I were to take out the sport utility blanket and the survival blanket that I have in here that make up my shelter, this would be a fair bit smaller. It definitely would. This isn't necessarily as small and minimalist as even I could possibly go. But, I mean, how small is too small? Ugh. Now, something that most of these kits employ there it is, are these little mini Mylar survival blankets. Just a cheapo, run-of-the-mill kind of dollar store, just bare minimum. Now, a lot of these guys actually use 3 mil or 4 mil 55 gallon drum compactor bags, and they would probably be better than this. But a lot of people go with this because of its heat reflective qualities. And although you could fit that into an Altoids tin, that's probably all you're getting in there. And Altoids tins don't even have shelter options generally. Other than, I have a little wire saw, I'm going to build a shelter. Well, okay. Either way, I see this, and generally 10 feet of paracord. They say that's my shelter. If you call it that, that's a shelter kit right there. So we're going to put it together, and we're going to see just how well does it work. So it's not so bad in here, but it's actually a pretty windy day. and I kind of wanted to have that wind to more or less simulate the kind of weather that you may be setting up a shelter in, because maybe it's raining and it's going to be fairly windy, generally. Or at least, difficult to work with this stuff. But it's not so bad in here. On and off, but it's not so bad. Also, last time I was in this general area shooting videos, it really wasn't all that long ago. The ground was frozen, and I was trying to make my own pegs and hammer them into the ground, and it just, wasn't working. So, today, I just brought some cheapo plastic tent stakes that I had laying around. The ground's probably much more thawed out by now, but I'm not all about fighting with wooden stakes today. I want to brainstorm. I actually want to figure this out, and can we make this work? And I want to be fair about it. And your average minimalist, small-time kit probably wouldn't have something like this. They might have the small metal ones, or they might just use wooden stakes that they make themselves. It's all good. But it's probably still partially frozen, so I'm not all about messing around with wood today. So, first of all, 10 feet of paracord. Well, that won't actually reach from tree to tree. So, let me just step on the... I'm exactly 6 feet tall, and... Can you see, it's... I measured, it's 10 feet. It's 10 feet of paracord. That's just not... Cut the end off there. The burned part. And... Wow. Bugs are out already. I've got I don't even know what that is. It's like a cross between a housefly and a hornet, almost. Okay. So we got 7 strands inside plus the, original. So now we got 80 feet. So that'll do us better. Okay. The ground's still really wet. Get some of the big sticks out of here. Ouch. All right. Now, you gotta be super careful about putting any kind of puncture in these things at all. You can't do it, or they just completely come apart. And that's really hard on the eyes. Alright. That's what we have to work with there. Blow a wing on me. Should have prepped this a little bit better ahead of time. Go. All right, first 10 feet. First corner. Okay. Fly a kite. So, if it's really windy, you can't get your shelter up, you can occupy yourself by flying it. So, I'm going to do the rest of the corners just like that, and I will get back to you. Last corner. And I almost had a very bad thing happen. When I was saying you can't get a puncture into this thing at all or it just completely comes apart, well, even the handfuls of dry leaves that I'm using, you have to take the stems off and only use the crumpled up leaves. The stems will punch right through. And it did get fairly windy, and it was a real pain trying to get these done. There was a moment, even the inner strands of the paracord, very, very hard to work with. Paracord is awesome, but when you just individual little strands, really, really hard to work with. All right, we got all four corners done. My paracord strands are all tangled up to themselves now because of how windy and just how horrible it is. This stuff really is a real pain to work with. Maybe I should have. I wonder if I still can. Oh, you can hear that every time the wind catches it. I would not want to sleep in it. Wow, this stuff is such a pain to work with. Would have been a lot easier had I had done it ahead of time, I understand. But, holy jumpins'. There we go. All of this while you're in a moment in your life where things just are bad. Maybe it's cold, maybe it's raining. It's a real bad day. And Now this. There we go. Ugh. Hey, there's your shelter. Now the ground is soaking wet just underneath the somewhat dry leaves. I mean, they're still pretty damp. And this is where a 55-gallon drum liner would come in real handy. But a lot of the time I see they don't add both to their kit. It's either one or the other. But it would definitely come in handy. Now, I want to get in here and try it out, but I don't want to get all soaking wet and muddy and you know, whatever, doing it. So I'm going to cheat just a little bit. Now bear in mind, for you people who only pack one of these or one drum liner, you're not going to have the option to cheat like I am right now. But I'm still trying to prove a point. I'll use this one. So I have the Sport Utility Blanket and the SOL Survival Blanket, 1 to 2 person. And that's part of the reason why my kit's as big as it is, because without it, it could be a lot smaller. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not all about staying clean, not getting dirty, all that kind of jazz, but just not today. Not today in the mud, you know, kind of whatever. Oh. Okay, first of all, I'm going to take this belt off, which I probably should have done a while ago. Where in the world is the... Go. Oh yeah. Most recent addition, I added a little keeper, a button snap thing in the back to keep it from riding down. All right. Okay, well, first of all, it's not long enough. My feet are sticking out the end, and my head's pretty close, so you're gonna have to tuck in. And even still, you might want to get some natural material and gussy this up. And depending on how the rain is going, because the wind does shift around. Your knees might get wet. It's more of a success than it is a failure, but do you really want to spend the night in this just to save yourself a few ounces and maybe have a much smaller pack than to have a nice grabber blanket over top you instead? Pretty soon I'm going to come out and do a camp out with my Get Lost bag, and you will see the difference. So when you're watching that video, remember this video and kind of compare the two in your mind, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because, you know, and I mean, let's not forget, as of this moment, I'm technically lying in the mud on the ground. In this scenario, they don't have one of these at all. All they brought was this. So they're lying on the ground, in the mud, in the bugs. Snails crawling on them. You know, that kind of thing. Whereas if they would have gotten out and actually did a test on their gear, or at the very least if they were my subscriber and watched my channel, they would know that while this is somewhat adequate, it's not really as good as it could be if you just go a little bit bigger on your pack size, whatever container you're using, whatever bag. So, I got to admit, I would not want to spend the night in this thing. I really wouldn't. With that rattling noise and everything, the way it's going. And I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't much better, but it is a little bit better, and it's a little more robust. You can tighten it up a little bit better, so it's not really going to rattle as much. But no, I have to admit, it's better than I thought it would be. It is more of a success than it is a failure, but I gotta say, the whole concept of having a kit prepared for something like this is to make you more comfortable than you otherwise would be without it. Well, I can't necessarily say that this is going to make me that much more comfortable, because even if I'm sheltered out of the rain, I'm still lying on the cold, wet ground, so I'm still getting wet. So, yeah, all in all, I would say one of these and a drum liner, bare minimum. If you don't want to up your pack size that much to include a decent grabber blanket, I would have to say the Mylar and the 55-gallon drum liner. But oh, wait a minute. This is going to be the wrong one, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay. So it is 20 minutes after 1. I think it was... it was after 12:30 when I actually started this. I left my house, I did a very, very quick drive. Oh. So as I was saying, I left my house, it was around noon, I did a very quick drive, which included a stop for coffee.
I don't know if I caught that on camera, but an absolutely gigantic golden eagle was just flying around overhead, and I just might have just got it on camera, and it wouldn't. I know on camera you can't necessarily see the size all that well, and it wouldn't do it justice. The thing was enormous. That was quite a sight. Okay. So, quick drive, quick stop for coffee out here. Fairly quick walk into the woods. It's one thing I like about London. I'm from an area that's mostly bush. Very small town, lots and lots of bush. Part of the reason I chose London to move to, I had to leave the area up in Muskoka, you know, just basically go where the jobs are. I had to come to a place where there's jobs. And London is called the Forest City. And I'm not comfortable in a city environment, so I came here because I can go into the forest and there's a lot of green space. So, very cool. So it was fairly quick. I left around noon. I got here fairly quick, got the camera set up and started going. It probably took, I would say, about 40 to 45 minutes to set up this shelter. Which, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. Because some of these guys who put wire saws in their little Altoids tins, and then they say, oh, well, I've got this saw, I can build a shelter wherever. Well, even with a decent saw, it takes like 2-4 hours to build even a halfway decent water-resistant lean-to. With a wire saw, I mean, you probably double that time. 4 to 8 hours. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. So, 40-45 minutes to put this up in the wind and messing around with the really thin cord, and I thought it would be easy to work with because I thought it would be a lot like Bankline. It's a lot more difficult than that. But yeah, about 40-45 minutes, and that's not horrible. Now, I came into this with a basic idea of what I was going to do. I considered maybe building a couple of little tripods and then lashing it to a couple of tripods. And I also considered doing the little buttons on the end like I did, and kind of whatever. So I figured this will probably be quicker. It probably will work. Lashing it around, a tripod might make it maybe a little more stable. Maybe it wouldn't, rattle around as much. But it would also take a lot longer. So, and this is just as adequate, all in all. It's as long as you have the drumliner and this, you're in for a better night than you otherwise would have. Just this is not going to keep you up off the ground. Using this to keep you off the ground is not going to, keep you out of the rain. It's two of these, 2 drumliners, or one of these and 1 drumliner. And a lot of people like the reflective qualities, even though these cheap ones don't really do that. But you could build a little fire here, and yeah, sure, whatever. But now, all in all, the reflective qualities on this is much better than this. So I still say get a bigger bag, box, tin, a bigger whatever, and have a couple of grabber blankets. But it's not as much of a fail as I thought it was going to be, and it only took about 40 minutes to set up. So that's more of a success than I would have thought. So I'm surprised again. But for the record, Altoid Tin's survival kits still suck. An Altoid Tin fishing kit, Altoid Tin fire kit, Altoid Tin whatever kit that isn't meant to be the full kit, fine. I have no problem with that, but an Altoid Tin specifically designed to cover all of your needs, never going to happen. It's never going to cover the 5 Cs. So, prove me wrong in the comments. If you don't agree with me, I'm more than happy to talk about it, and maybe you could change my mind. But we'll see. I've been surprised before. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you in the next video.